Are you ready to find out how to choose the right virtual assistant for you? In this video, I'm going to dive through the best practices when it comes to choosing the right virtual assistant, either as you are screening a couple of people through or as you're making the final decision. Now, a lot of this is honestly covered on my book, Scale You, which is now out on Amazon, so you can check out a little bit more of a in-depth detail of how to choose your virtual assistant. And I also dive through on the things to prepare before and after you hire a virtual assistant. The link will be below to check out the book. Now, the first thing you want to keep in mind is skills versus experience versus behavior. And what I mean by this is a lot of times, especially for our clients in 2XU, where we hire a lot of executive assistants for our clients, is we always give them the kind of expectation setting of keeping in mind just because someone has 10 years of experience doesn't mean that they have that good of a skill on that. And the same thing goes for their behavior. Just because someone has been doing, being an executive assistant for the last 10 years doesn't mean that they might have the right behavior or attitude as they start working together. So that's a main thing I wanted to put in as the first thing is for you to decide and see how important is that skill to you. Like when you are trying to hire, like for example, for me, when I was hiring my own amazing executive assistant, the main thing or skill that I really needed was someone who could watch for the details, because sometimes things would fall through the cracks for me. So I really needed someone to catch those details. So that was kind of beyond experience and really skill, was that behavior of knowing like, oh yeah, we almost forgot this. Of like, hey, I want to bring this up. We forgot to do this, a few days ago. I need that because I do move really fast especially when I'm working on a lot of projects at the same time. So I really needed someone to do that for me. So as you are kind of, again, in that finalization stage, where you are now deciding between maybe 3 or even 5 virtual assistants to hire, you want to keep that in mind. Is how important is the skill? Can you train them on this? How important is experience? The experience is essentially, do they have the confidence to problem solve through it just because they've experienced it before? So for example, for copywriting, experience is something that's immeasurable because you need to have someone who knows what kind of copy works, not just having the skill of copywriting, but knowing how to adjust to your audience is a key thing. So that's what I mean by skill versus experience. And again, versus behavior is, are they someone with 10 years experience, but all they do is kind of talk about themselves? Are they someone with 10 years of experience, but they don't really know how to switch to a new tool because they're so used to this other tool that they've been using for years? So those are things you want to consider right off the bat. Next thing is, don't skip the interview. Now, I've seen so many people make this mistake where they see someone's profile, they saw a couple of videos, maybe or introduction videos from them, and they like, oh yeah, you're hired, without going through the interview. Now, it is in the interview they do find out if you guys are a couple of things. First, are you guys a values match? Does it make sense for you to work with this person in the long term? If, let's say, they prioritize work over family, and that's a really good example of, would they understand if you took time off to take care of your family and kind of corralling you to go back to work? Or would you want someone who has the same values as you, who will basically say like, oh yeah, family is really important. I know how important your family is to you, who understands that in a deep level. You're also going to be thinking on the value side, would you want someone who complements you or someone who basically completes you? So what that means is you want someone who's the same value, so you're kept aligned in that way. Like some of our clients are going to look for people who have the same Christian values or the same kind of whatever religion that they're believing in. They're trying to find someone who can be aligned there, basically someone to complement them, or again, someone to complete them. So for me, I am to my core a little bit of an introvert. I don't really like asking people questions if I feel like I'm going to bother them. So for my assistant, she's game with that. She's good with that. She doesn't feel like she's bothering people. She doesn't have that same kind of limit that I have, basically. So then we complete each other in that way, where one thing that I don't have, she has. So that's what I mean by checking for values, basically compatibility with your virtual assistant. Next is, are you guys a match when it comes to the communication style? And again, this is something you can't really get if you don't have the interview with them, is when they're talking, can you actually understand the words that are coming out of their mouth? Not just like the words, like, do they sound smart? Do they sound, X, Y, and Z? but is there a match of when you guys say this word that you guys understand it's the same thing? Or is the way that they communicate, depending on what that looks like, something that you can fully understand, and the way that you communicate to them something that they understand? So we have clients who, like me, talk really fast, and basically their EA just has to catch whatever it is that they're saying. Or we have clients who really take the time to slow down, to say the things that need to be said, maybe in an hour-long call, and neither behavior is wrong, but you want to make sure that that matches with the virtual assistant you want to work with. Next is, during the interview, you can also start finding out if there's someone who is proactive versus reactive. And depending on the kind of person you are, you might want someone who's one or the other. If you are a little bit on the startup phase, things are still kind of being figured out, someone who might be more reactive, who can just get on it, who responds to things rather than looking for things to do, it's probably a little bit more of your fit. If you're kind of out of that startup phase and you're starting to grow and scale, you want someone who's proactive. So again, these are things that you'll only find out if you're able to do an interview with them right on the get-go. Then you also want to figure out the tasks versus outcomes. Do you want someone who's more of the task-based, who just is going to get it done? And again, it's important when you're in that kind of startup phase, but in your scale up phase, you might need someone who's a little bit more outcome based. They will do whatever task that needs to get done to make sure that this outcome gets done without having to check on you, or without having to kind of more micromanaging of them. Basically, you just trust that they're going to get it done. Another way to kind of test them is to send a test task. Now, this is something that we do when we're recruiting for our clients, is we send them, if their clients are looking for someone to do graphics or social media, we'll ask them to create like a quick one graphic, then make it kind of fit for different platforms. Or it could be like, hey, can you go ahead and react to this video and create a summary of it, or create the meeting notes out of it, depending on, again, on what that need is. So the test task basically just shows you if they can actually do what they say that they can do beyond their portfolio, beyond what they've said in an interview that they can do. You can send them a quick little small task. It doesn't have to take like hours and hours of work, just something that they could just do even during the interview, if you can even manage that, if it doesn't take a while. And it's just something to, again, make sure that you guys are aligned. So for example, for the graphics test, some of our clients are really looking for a particular kind of graphic artist. So when we're sending that out, that's what we look at, is basically the preference from the client or the things that they look out for, so then we can match it with that. And it's the same thing for you, is let's say, for example, like for me, when I send out like graphic tests when I was looking for an assistant, I wanted someone to match my own graphics that I was creating at that time, and my assistant did. And there were some people who got really creative, who added a few things, but I really just wanted this. And that kind of made it easier for me to kind of filter people out as well. Next is making sure that you set expectations, and this goes hand in hand, is to have a quick feedback turnaround. What that means is you need to set expectations with your virtual assistant, especially as they're getting started. Let's say you've already chosen someone, and if they're not able to meet it, you need to have a way that you can give them a quick feedback turnaround. So my favorite book for this is The 1 Minute Manager by Ken Blanchard, where it talks about giving someone a 1-minute praise if they're doing really, really well, or giving someone 1-minute redirect if they, messed something up, if they didn't rise up to the expectation. So then you have a quick and easy way to, one, document that you gave your assistant some sort of feedback already, to something that they can work on if there is something that needs to be worked on. And for you, it's also kind of a quick litmus test if they are really a match for you in the long run, or it might not be the match at all. One big thing that I always encourage a lot of our clients to do is to over communicate with their assistant. Just because they've already set expectations, they might not have the context for those expectations. They might assume that you mean A, B, and C when you really mean X, Y, and Z. So having that clarification, again, having that quicker turnaround when it comes to the feedback, is going to be super helpful as you guys start out on your journey working together. Now, if you guys liked this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there. Comment below if you have any questions when it comes to working with your virtual assistant. I would love to know. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home, which you guys can check out those two playlists right here and the latest video right here. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and with that, small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!